No.
We also got a $5 donation from Legacy, who says, I offer nothing but 2 messages. I'm totally fine with Deku marrying Ippa and bless thy dark-skinned bunny girl Mirko. Thank you, Legacy. This is the most important thing.
Legacy is incredibly based. Great man here.
Maybe that's the real long play. Maybe the ending's actually genius, and that's the real goal.
Okay.
Who knows?
Are we coming through audio now? Let's see.
I'm listening. I don't hear fuck all. Let me.
What are you doing?
Oh
wrong?
no, I just skipped it to the live. I'm mildly dumb.
It's okay.
Is it? Yeah, it's delayed,
So-
right?
Yep. All right, we're audible.
It
again.
is.
All right, so I'm going to read you. I don't know how much I got cut off, so I'm going to quickly redo the intro. Hello, lords and ladies in it. Welcome back to the Council of Candor, episode 24. Today we are covering My Hero Academia's horrible ending. I know that there's some people who currently like it, but there's some people who like eating feces, and we don't consider them people either. So, my volume's extremely low. Well, I hope it's not going to be low for too long, Nevis. I'm going to get more animated and excited. Extremely low. Oh, man. Chat is very mad at me. While I figure this out...
I can be mad at you, too, if you want.
It's okay. While I try to figure out why everybody's coming in so low, I'm going to quickly say that we're going to be spoiling My Hero Academia. I am not sure why you're here if you weren't expecting it to be spoiled, seeing as this is talking about the ending specifically.
But we're talking...
It would be kind
We're
of.
going to spoil My Hero Academia?
Nice shot. It's a bit better now? All right.
I was not ready.
Sorry.
All right.
All right. Also,
anyway.
chat, I'm going to say we are going to be talking about other works that have ended better. Specifically, I'm going to be referencing Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood and No Country for Old Men. If you haven't seen those works, they're both fantastic. I highly recommend both of them. We're not going to get into super deep spoilers, hopefully, but just a little touch on them. So, before we introduce the guests, I would like to first thank Mr. Legacy. He offers nothing but 2 messages. I'm totally fine with Deku marrying Ippa and bless thy dark-skinned bunny girl Moroku. So, you think you're being a funny boy right now. You are being a funny boy.
Did you say Moroku?
Mirko, I don't know how to pronounce their names. I'm terrible with names.
Mirko.
That's the meme that I do. All right, so seriously though.
I don't hurry, yeah.
Yeah. No, you don't understand. I have a conspiracy theory that a certain DMTDs, who if you know him, he's a beloved member of the Mauler server, which by the way, I need to start posting this here so we can get involved. That he told me that the author is exclusively obsessed with the bunny girl. He constantly talks about how she's his favorite in the interviews. And it's quite interesting because he says how much his only regret in life is killing her off the way he did. Well, it's not really dead, but you'll see if you read it. Okay.
I'm just because of this anime, I'm gonna buy my wife another bunny girl outfit.
There you go.
Shout out to the Mauler server. Go in there.
Yeah. Go there and tell them to watch my streams. So, join my server too. All right. We're going to introduce some guests and some co-hosts, starting with my fellow YouTuber, Mr. Creatively Garbled. How you doing today, Garbled?
Salutations. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here. If you know that reference, deep cut. I'm hoping to get my own videos out sometime soon, so that way I am not just fellow YouTuber in name only.
You got to practice.
Yes,
exactly.
What was that?
You got to walk the walk as a YouTuber.
Got to walk the walk. Well, you're talking the talk. I got to walk the walk. It's currently in production, but we'll see how well that goes.
Production hell. Gotta love it.
It's your favorite.
Next.
So next up is up. Did we cut out? We good? All right. I think we're back. Next up is another future YouTuber, Mr. Shadow or Magic Goat.
Oh, hey there. Yeah, I'm the straight man here. I only watched part of the anime. I read the ending. I kind of just shrugged and said, yeah, it's okay. It doesn't seem that bad. I don't know what people hate that much about it. But I'm sure I'm going to learn a lot today from all the things that I've already heard. So that should be exciting.
All All right, and next up
Yes.
is Mr. Pops, returning back once again.
Hell yeah, returning back. By the way, Tio, when you brought up the '94 Romeo and Juliet with Leo in the scene where they're like having a shootout at the gas station, and Tybalt goes, "Draw your sword," and they zoom in on the gun that has like sword. That image burned in my fucking mind. Like,
Me
I'm
too,
so
man.
mad I missed that stream. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, had a good day today. I actually I went to the pool hall and played a few games with my girlfriend, who totally exists, and obviously he did a decent amount of research on this. And I wish you would have brought up that we were talking about No Country for Old Men a little earlier, because I would like to refresh myself. But I think I'll be able to contribute plenty to this, so it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. So next up is
Yeah.
Tio. I don't know how many times you've been on here, Tio, but you're always welcome on here, my friend.
17.
Thank you. Thank
Has
you.
it
No,
been
I
actually
think it's
17?
No,
countable
just
on one
11.
hand still. I think. Maybe? You people.
I have a
do your
lot of
YouTube
fingers,
comments,
Theo.
Tell me.
I'm severely
Podcast has
implied.
been going on for a while.
Yes, exactly.
Well,
Not
one
tastefully.
Tio appearance.
We're Italian.
One Tio appearance is like worth 3 Des appearances. So
Exactly.
That exchange rate figures.
All right. And then last but not least is our fantastic author, Mr. Pagliacci. How you doing there, buddy?
Oh, me? Hi. How you doing, buddy? I'm pretty good. I know very little about this, except that I heard about the ending, and I was like, man, I want to meme on this. So here I am. I also know a thing or two about writing an ending, considering I did it once. So
only
maybe
once.
that'll.
Hold on. Kid, can we go back to your pronunciation? Did you call him Pagliacci?
He's been calling him that since
Yes.
day one.
He's Pagosaurus Rex, you know?
Yes.
It's the only reasonable way to pronounce it. I don't hear the problem.
All right. Okay.
Didn't I tell you 4 minutes
Yeah,
ago that
sure.
mispronouncing things is my thing?
You did. You did say that.
Oh, you misspelled your.
You were.
No, I didn't. Where did I misspell
You're
it? Is it the description? Where the hell did I misspell it? No.
shoot. That's the thing I did want to bring up.
Where is it? Where is it misspelled? Tell me.
It's not misspelled. It's proper.
I'm gonna kill you.
Although you could use an apostrophe in the it's. It's shocking. That one does actually need an apostrophe. But no,
You
that's
misspelled
the
your
correct
by
form of
having an
your.
apostrophe in the it's.
Yeah.
Glorious.
No, yours- yeah.
I don't know. I can't read.
Sorry.
I didn't even know that you managed to. You managed to muck it up that badly, just like this ending. It's an accomplishment, even. You should be stoned to death in public.
All right.
Wow.
So
Nah, it's a
going
bit,
on to
Bro,
what
let's print.
happened here with this ending, I think that we should first establish to chat a couple parameters of the story. I'm assuming that not everybody, in chat, since not everybody on this call has seen it. Those of you in chat haven't seen it, but some of you are just here to hang out and learn and figure out what the hell all these memes about Deku working at totally not McDonald's. Why is this crying green boy working at McDonald's on my screen? So, the storyline of My Hero Academia is actually a really interesting and good one from a big picture perspective. The universe is full of people who have superpowers. They're called quirks. So not every superpower is good, but 80% of people have them. Some people can call down the power of the sun and irradiate everybody to kill everybody. Some people can make ice cream dance. It's completely random what your power is, and usually people try to use their powers in their daily life. They don't know where powers came from, but they did. Shut up, it's fine. Because they have superpowers, also people are super intelligent and have super suits and all these other things. So it's just, that's all backstory. That doesn't matter. We're at the point here. Back in the day, when superpowers just started to coming out, 2 brothers were born with very similar powers, but one of them didn't actually think he had a power. One brother had the power to steal everybody else's powers. So over time, he would go around finding other people with cool superpowers, and he'd steal them. That's what he named his power, All for One. He takes everybody's powers and it's all for himself. He thought it'd be funny to try to give his brother a power because his brother was was quirkless and he was a dumb nerd. He gave him a power. Quirks are just magic powers. It's okay. It's a superpower.
Called quirks.
Yeah.
They're called quirks.
Yeah.
So Deku is a quirked up white boy.
He's got no quirks.
was
No,
thinking
he
that.
actually has no quirks. We'll get into Deku in a second.
Oh wow, he's
Yeah, he's
quirkless.
not a
Not
quirked up
him,
white
a
boy.
white
He's
boy.
quirkless.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
very important. So
That's horrible.
it is. So so everybody's superheroes in the show, and now the All for One guy, he's all like, I'm evil. I'm going to kill everybody, take their powers, and to torture his brother, he's like, I'm going to give you just one crappy superpower. But it turns out his brother has another power. It's called One for All. Instead of taking powers, it allows you to transfer the powers down through generations. So
Doesn't it get stronger with each transfer?
it does, and as long as it also absorbs the power of whoever gets it. That's a really cool thing.
Oh.
However, both
Huh.
powers are intrinsically linked. There's a lot of like theory crafting by those who have this one power, the all for one power and One for All, that if they were to be combined together, like if one absorbed the other, they would nullify out, and thus the two greatest powers would zero sum. That's the theory anyway.
Oh, ain't that?
What's up, Pops?
Just a theory, a quirk theory.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah. So
That's called.
Yeah, so that's the 10,000 feet backstory, what's happening way in the past. Now, it goes, I think it's 70, 80 years in the future. It's very vague, but it's at least that much.
Well, I think it's like 8 or 9 generations in the future.
Yeah, it's
I don't think it's ever given a specific date.
I don't think so, but it's just,
So-
long time ago, who cares, shut up. Now the world is where we're at now. Now we have the best superhero
It's
of the show.
enough time.
Yeah.
It's enough time where no one remembers the world before superpowers at this point. No one personally, at least.
Exactly.
Yeah, a generation or 2 or 3 is usually enough, I think.
Yeah, it's more than enough time,
Yeah.
and it's satisfying that the world is set up. So now we get to the modern day, and we have the greatest superhero of all time, All Might. That's the guy with the Giga Chad smile, who's flexing. He's the best character in the show. He's the one who goes, "I am here. Do not fear." It's awesome. I love him. Best character, and he's sort of retiring soon. Is the rumor because. Well, he's getting kind of old there, and a few years ago, he actually had a big old fist fight with All for One. The bad guy established early who could steal powers, and he kicked the crap out of him. He's definitely dead off screen. Don't worry, he's gone. All Might, though, actually got a severe injury, and now he's like, hey, I probably should find a successor to my powers, so I'm going to go to the local, like, the premier high school and see what students are there, and I'm going to groom a couple of them, the good way, until I find somebody worthy of taking my powers.
Mentor.
You have to find your terms, especially if you use the word groom in there.
Hey,
It's
I'm a
called
YouTuber, I got
A whole
a very
different
good-
genre.
It's called mentoring, not grooming. It's different things. Different context nowadays.
So to answer your
Yeah,
thing about
you-
Donald Farias, yes, all of his moves are named after different, not just states or different American things. His best one is where he punches you in the mouth, and it's called Detroit Smash. My favorite though is like he's got the Kansas kick where he just kicks it like a tornado comes out. All of his moves are banger memes, except his final move is called the United States of Smash, and it's just like a WWE
It is
music
glorious.
starts playing. It's beautiful. The entire show, all the characters are
Fantastic.
phenomenally written, and all their powers are so much fun. That's why the show is so popular, even if the storylines kind of drag a little bit. So, yes,
Did it
Alex,
pull Game
it
of
pull a Game of
Thrones?
Thrones, kind of. It's actually for the same reason. We'll talk about that. All Might is if Hulk, Captain America, and Spider-Man merge into one. I would also say with Superman. And Alex, if you consent to being groomed, we can talk about that later in my Discord. Like I said, I'm not that big of a YouTuber yet. Come back in 90,000 more subs. So,
Super
just sucked.
That's
You
going
have
to
to
be
be
quoted one day. That's going to be
Yeah.
very poorly quoted one day. But that's okay, because all publicity is good publicity. So really, this is just kid preparing to have a false allegation so he can use it to get even more viewers. Honestly, it's brilliant. Bravo.
I
exactly.
should have thought of that. I should have thought of that.
All right. So, back to the summary of what's going on. So now All Might's
Yep.
hanging out in this local town. And it turns out in this town, there's a bunch of middle schoolers who are getting ready to go into high school. Just so you guys are kind of aware, culturally, high school is a lot more like how we think of college here in America. They are different, but like you have to apply to go to high schools, and certain high schools can reject you if they don't like you and all that type of thing. So just think of it more like
Yeah.
college for much younger kids. And that's also why
So a
you see a lot of
private.
Japanese media, 16-year-olds are portrayed as more like adults because they kind of more culturally are like what we have as college kids. I think it's
Yeah,
kind of
and
icky,
also-
but that's why that is.
Yeah, there's also once you get out of high school, you have a very, I want to say almost railroaded track of like you have to do well in school. So this is probably the time where they have the most amount of freedom.
Yes. So
Yeah,
there
I
is
watched Tokyo Drift.
There you
All
go.
those high schoolers.
He pops those. So now we cut to our main character, Deku. He's the green-haired kid that you see everywhere. Deku
Yeah.
wants to be a hero. Deku is actually super obsessed with heroes to the point where he's like a hyper nerd. He's got books like what's it? Notebooks filled with different hero powers, how they act, how they level up, how they would interact with each other. He even writes down fictional like team ups. Like, oh, if this character teams with this character, with this guy, these things. Biggest we've ever seen. However,
So imagine the German hyper-focus combined with anime.
yes, and this
We
kid is,
must create the Superman.
exactly. But this kid
You
is
think
super
that's-
smart. He's really good at figuring out how powers work and analyzing it. But he kind of goes on rants and like sits in his own head. He sits in his corner and just yambles all the time. You know the type of person he is. His
Me.
friend / enemy is another kid named Bakugo. Bakugo is the kid who's screaming all the time, who's got blonde hair, who's got the really hot mom that I know you all seen from those memes. I know that's the other
And
way you
he
guys know
loves
him.
to
Go ahead.
and he loves to pick on Deku for being disabled.
Yes.
Don't forget that.
Basically, yeah.
Yes. So Deku has no power, but Bakugo has a really cool power where his sweat is like nitroglycerin, so he can make it explode.
Yeah, you
on
can make it
command.
explode.
But people don't know. We have to let them know. So he's
Yeah,
like,
well,
gonna
I'm just
be a
confirming
badass.
it. I am
Yeah.
confirming it. Good.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to be a badass. I'm going to be number one. And this stupid green nerd can't get into it with me. Okay. But Deku
Uh-huh.
has
He
no
would-
friends.
He even tells him to kill himself,
Yeah, he does
as you
actually tell
do.
him to kill himself. He's like, you're a stupid nerd. Commit suicide. So
Doesn't he like attack him like immediately when they first meet?
all the time.
He doesn't attack him.
He almost
The
Well,
blonde kid smacks the
what
crap
specific-
out of Deku all the time. Bakugo. But it's more like
Oh,
a
yeah.
away from me bullying type thing. So
he's
Well,
great.
the opening page is that he is getting his world rocked, but in the story proper, he doesn't actually get assaulted. Bakugo just takes one of his notebooks, blows it up, and then throws it out the window, tells him to kill himself.
yes.
What a Giga Chad.
Bullying the disabled kid.
Exactly.
It's really funny in context with how he like evolves as a character to where, you know, it's just like with what was that? You know, there's that
Hey.
story about Robert Downey Jr. like making fun of a guy for reading Iron Man. Basically the same thing.
All right. So
Hey,
hang
Thank
on.
you to Legacy for the $10 donation.
Yes. And he says, before I go, I would like to recommend a manga called Shy. I've heard about this a lot, and it's been really good. I've been recommended to give it a read to help my work on Sierra. It's been great and inspiring despite the premise being on the nose. Yeah, I've heard many great things about Shy as well. I haven't personally read it, but a lot of people who I trust the opinions of have read it, and they said it's good. So, yeah, thank you, Legacy, for the $10 for the recommendation of Shy. All right, so let's go back to my hero summary real quick for everybody. So at this point, Deku feels depressed because the only person he thought he was his friend just told him to commit suicide and said, I never liked you. He has no quirks, so he's not a quirked up white boy. And he realizes cripples can't be superheroes. All of a sudden, a bank robber shows up and starts beating, trying to, commit, hoodlum acts of hoodlums and culturally enrich the area. During this time, he kidnaps Bakugo. After some stuff happens, and everybody's kind of like, well, I guess just let him keep that kid because we can't do anything. We're just going to call, the
Well,
cops and maybe they'll figure it out. And Deku's like, well, that's BS. I'm going to go in there and save Bakugo without a power. And he goes in there and he tries, he does his best to save Bakugo. He kind of gets his butt kicked, but he kind of does save Bakugo. Then All Might shows up, beats the ever-living snot out of this local villain, which just to put it in perspective, this is the equivalent of, like, Superman showing up to stop a bank robber and it just absolutely bodies him just because he happens to be in the area. It's great. That robber was not expecting that. Yes?
Kid!
Yes?
There's just slight adjustment to series of events. So, and it's kind of important to Deku's character, I believe.
Oh.
Where the slight adjustment is that Deku is just walking home, and there is a person with a quirk that's like kind of slime-ish. Like his body becomes slime and he can possess people. So he tries to possess Deku first. Then what happens is that All Might comes in, gives him that nice 1-2, and then just like slaps the shit out of him. Then puts him in a bottle for safekeeping because he's liquid. And then as he's going like, "Hey, I'll see you later, just doing my good deed," Deku's like, "But can a white boy without a quirk? Can he still be good with his paws?"
Yeah.
Puff,
He actually knocks the villain loose. But the point is,
and
the key thing
Deku,
here is actually that Deku saves his friend without a quirk, and that makes All Might look at him and say, you're the first kid I've seen who's like actually wants to help people instead of who wants to be a celebrity. So, fun fact, because superheroes have been around for so long, they're basically like basketball stars and football stars. They're just so high on their celebrity that they don't even really play the game anymore. Most of these heroes barely go out and do hero work, and they do it like the nice neighborhoods and pose for cameras and sell cosmetics and that type of thing. So that's what a lot of the kids want to be heroes for. They kind of want to help people, yeah. But really, there's a lot of the glitz and the glamour. It's the active celebrity. It's the quickest way to the top.
Yeah.
But Deku doesn't want that.
It's become commercialized by necessity. But
so All Might realize,
not helping people.
Hey, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm saying, like, they're not helping people to help people. They're helping people, like, for their own self-aggrandizement and the ego and stuff.
Exactly. So All Might realizes, hey, this kid is the first kid I've seen in, like, a generation, which is weird for stuff later on, but don't worry about it, who actually wants to help people. So he says, you know what? I think you deserve to have the power that I have. Turns out, All Might, Superman, can pass his power down, and he says, I'm going to choose you, Deku. But you're weak and pathetic, so we need to have you work out first and get your body in shape to accept his power, or you will die. So he said, I'll give this to you if you spend the whole summer working out. And Deku does, and he gets in shape, and it's a huge, great story. So that's the start of the entire situation with the comic. So you guys know this is how the intro goes. So the first one, 4 chapters, 5 chapters?
I think that happened within the first 2 chapters.
Sure. But
third chapter is him getting to school.
Sure, but my point is it's really early that you see Deku has the spirit of a hero. He's got no quirks, so he gets given the ultimate power. The most powerful quirk to ever exist, he gets it given to him. And says, hey, you can, I choose you as my successor because you want to help people, and you have the true, heart of a hero. Great setup for a story, and then overall, as the story progresses, they start showing more about All for One and how he actually wants to take the powers, and how All for One actually is a secret successor as well, and it's setting the two of them up to be perfectly rivals in battles. So you know where this is going to go as the story goes throughout the entire series.
And Baku is very upset that the cripple kid is no longer a cripple.
Yes, he's very mad that the cripple's not
He can fly!
Yeah.
That's what the message is. I mean, if you're crippled, I mean, like, you better go find someone to transfer their superpowers to you. Because, like, you're fucked.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just send Elon Musk letters, and he'll build you a super suit.
So, we have a lot of story that still happens, but I'm going to cut all of it out and just hit the highlights. The important details.
Yeah, you don't need the middle part to discuss why the ending is so bad.
No, it's not.
There's another.
Well, you do and you don't. The important details is, as they get to high school, they're like, all right, in order to get in here, we need you to do some exams. One of the first exams you have to take is how many robots can you kill in a 30-second period, essentially. So everybody has to go out and beat up robots. Deku kind of fails because instead of fighting the robots, he spends most of his time helping the other people not get killed by the robots. And he finds out when he uses his power, he breaks his arm. So he can't really keep fighting the robots.
He's not used to it, yeah.
But there's a girl,
and also the one robot that he punches. The one robot that he punches is they have a scoring system of like A, B, or C, and it increases in difficulty. And this one they call an obstacle in very heavy air quotes. It's the size of a fucking building.
Oh,
and he just sort of goes up, sees that there's somebody about to get crushed by this giant building. It's just like, regardless of point values, I need to save her. And then he goes up, punches it, and breaks his arm, and also his legs, because he's not used to that either.
Yeah, he breaks his bones to save somebody, and they give him a pass for that. But the person he saves, she's a girl named Ochaku. She's got gravity powers. She basically falls in love with him for that. Because as you do, if a guy saves you, you feel emotions to him. And she says, hey, when they get to the end, she bursts in the room and says, it's not fair that Deku's not going to pass because he didn't have any points. I want you to give him half of my points because he saved me and I would be dead otherwise. And they were like, oh, don't worry about that. We're going to give him a pass anyway because you could score points. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. But he actually acted like a hero. which is an automatic pass to hero school, which is a really nice touch, I think. It's a really nice touch that they let you automatically pass if you act heroically, if you screw everything up. It's... Because the logic is, well, if you're powerful enough, we can train you not to be stupid and train you morally. And if you're moral enough, we can train you to be powerful. It's a very nice touch.
Yeah.
So she's important because this is the character that basically throughout the entirety of the story is going to have a huge crush on Deku, is going to be the love interest, and that's one of the big problems at the end of the story is her. What happens with her. She's got a great little story throughout the thing, too. She's definitely better than Sakura before you ask, chat. Sakura's still the worst girl ever. So, yeah. So.
No pinkies allowed here.
Also, just so you know, all the girls in the show are written incredibly well. They're all best girls. You know, there's none of these. There's no Sakuras in sight. All the guys are written pretty well too. I don't think, other than Mineta, there's a character that I hate, and you're supposed to hate Mineta, so it's okay.
No,
it works out.
Mineta can go in the garbage. Throw him out.
Yeah.
Is that the pervy midget?
That's the pervy.
That is indeed the pervy midget, and we want him to. We wanted him to be dead. Yes.
Why does media have so many midgets like that?
Yeah. The fucked up part is.
Oh no!
Doesn't Maz want to bang you nightly?
Yes. I didn't know Maz was short. Makes sense. Explains a lot.
There you go. Also, just real quick about Mineta, his quirk is that he can use the balls that grow off of his head, which work like they are very sticky and can tie people down and keep them in one place.
What grows off of his head?
They are like in balls. I'm not even joking that they're fucking balls, man.
Think about them like
sticky balls.
Yes. All right.
He has sticky balls. Right. Yes.
Yes. So that's the setup for the show, and throughout the seasons, you know, they gain power. Deku gains more strength, gains more abilities. The other classmates, you start to learn about them. Every time it's a new season, they introduce 945 new named characters who are the most important person ever. Then after they introduce, they will go off screen to never be seen except for background shots again. This happens routinely. I wouldn't be surprised if there are more characters in My Hero's 10-year run that are named than all of Star Trek.
Oh,
I would not. This is not even an exaggeration. There's so many fucking characters that like have names, designs, backstories, and like it's literally like, okay, so we're having all these classmates. So you meet Deku and you meet his 20 classmates. Great. And then immediately after meeting these 20 characters whose names you kind of know, whose superpowers you have popped up on screen, it's like, all right, now here's their class 1A and there's class 1B, their rival classroom. 20 more characters with all these powers and abilities that you have to learn.
Yeah.
Also, they're the top 20 heroes in the world. You have to learn all their powers and abilities. Also, there's about a dozen other random heroes that you had to learn about already. Also, here's half a dozen villains to learn about. Welcome to Season 2. You now have an entire trillions worth of characters, and this will only get worse.
They really
on the My Hero Academia wiki, it has 442 pages listed under characters.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
Also, one of them is called Ordinary Woman.
Yeah.
My favorite character.
My wife.
Exactly. Okay. Oh, that reminds me. Another important detail. Deku does not have a father. The plot point about his father is constantly teased that Deku doesn't know his dad. He comes from a single mother household. His mom cries and says it's too tough to talk about whenever his dad's brought up. And it's referenced that something happened. And every time we see a flashback, even like when he's like 2, there's no father in the picture. We have no idea what happened to his dad. Keep this in mind. It will never be resolved.
Oh, right. I thought the implication was that he was working abroad.
Doesn't matter what the implication was. We never see him. We don't know who he is.
It's just mentioned in the first fucking chapter.
No, either way though, it comes up here and there, like, doesn't it?
Yes. Like they're like,
but it's just an unresolved mystery.
Yeah, your son is disabled.
So yeah,
was his father disabled? Oh, his father. I can't talk about it. It hurts so much.
Yeah, so it becomes like a little.
Apparently, his father does travel internationally for work, and he does have a quirk called Fire Breath.
It's but he never is there.
Yeah.
And the
Bob
stupid
mentions
part is that Horikoshi stated he would be revealed. And this was in 2018 that at some point he would make an appearance, and he just don't.
Tio, thank you for Googling it.
I just wanted to check because I was hearing a lot of contradictory things, so I wanted to check.
I know.
That's just, again, that's his mom says that. I can tell you the exact
Yeah.
scene. When they go to the doctors and they're like, why is your son disabled? Let's give him a disabilities test. Yes, he's disabled. Is his father disabled? And his mother goes, no, she can breathe
No.
fire, but he's currently away on a business trip. That's all we hear. It's everything. It's like, really? Deku's dad has no clue that he's on his way to be the greatest hero. He's got no clue that he's hanging out with Superman in his spare time. That he's at the Harvard University of high schools for superheroes. That he breaks his arms every weekend. Like his dad has no clue what's going on, and he's not dead. I guess. It's frustrating. Anyway, so
Well, that line at Walmart ain't no joke.
exactly.
I love that they just create a Chekhov's gun and then they just leave it on the wall. They just create
I'm
it.
telling you,
So
this is one of those things as to why I want earlier when I think it was Nevis or Alex, I forget which one asked, is this like Game of Thrones? And I said yes, because the author very clearly wanted out of the story and just wrapped it up as "fuck you, it's done." It's very clear. That's the last chapter.
Yeah.
Did they ever kill the fire and ice guy? Wasn't he? Because I know that's been a joke for years that he's very clearly set up to die. Yeah?
No, Todoroki actually.
Oh no,
so
Todoroki's alive.
all of his plot gets resolved for Todoroki.
No, that was my
and like season
my
3,
favorite.
and then he sits there and does nothing until like season 5, when it's like all of a sudden. By the way, here's every other plot point for you. Now we can resolve it in season 6 and 7. It's really funny. Like all of his problems are like he starts out as an antagonist, he becomes a protagonist, and he just kind of hangs out in the background the whole time for like 3 seasons because the author has like we said 400 characters, so everybody else needs screen time instead of one of the deuteragonists. So annoying.
Yeah, when you have that many, it's not surprising that you'll leave a lot of plot threads dangling. Does
Dude,
the
You don't
author
understand.
did
We
the
need
author
to have
have
more
much
ass shots of the
professional-
bunny hero.
Did the author have much professional work prior to
This is his first.
This
big
is his
work.
first published work, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
And
Well, it's like the literary opposite of like writing yourself into a corner. It's like you have too many directions to go that like you can't really satisfy the audience because you weighed yourself down with dozens of different things that
I was gonna try to craft a narrative of what I wonder is gonna happen. Because if this is his first work, I was tempted to compare it to something like Aragon, but then I remembered, wait, we were just talking about how Deku does not get the girl. I wonder if he's going to have a J.K. Rowling thing in a few years where he goes, I should have put these two together. But then I realized he's already had his J.K. Rowling moment with the rabbit girl. And why are authors so weird, Pag? Is
Why
not
are we
here,
so
but I'm
weird?
sure he's listening.
No, I am.
Yeah. Oh, wait.
Why are we so weird?
Why are we ask? Okay, yeah.
It's the
because
alcohol.
authors don't write enough books. That's the real problem. Pag I know Pag has the same problem because I have the same problem. You want to tell thousands of stories, but like your universe that's popular or the one that you're working on can't handle that story, or the current story you're telling is not about that. You get a flight or a fancy to want to tell a pirate adventure in the middle of your like intense medieval political drama. You can't just write a pirate adventure in. Instead, what you should do is write the outline for that so you can satisfy the itch, and then put it away and don't touch it until you're done with the current project.
Well, yeah, that's a strange line to try to straddle because like sometimes working on like a little secondhand minor project is good if like you've like kind of burnt yourself out on something and you feel like you need a rest. But
I keep 2 or 3 projects going.
yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. Getting like kind of like dipping your hands into fucking whatever the word is.
You want to call out some things in chat first. Not all fairies working abroad. Is that what they're calling it now? I like that joke. I want to commend you. Great job. I also want to say, Perf, who has a comic coming out, bully him to drawing it more. By the way, everybody, that the main theme of My Hero is fatherness eventually leads you to cuckoldry. I can't say I don't disagree based on the ending. I also want to shout out Jacob. He's got some fantastic insights in chat so far today. He's been talking about different things and referencing the book. He's very clearly well-versed in this thing, so thank you. And he's also talking to James. And to answer your question, James, we're currently in the wrap-up of explaining like the introduction thing so people who never knew what was going on. That way we can set up, hey, this is why the story fails at the ending. Because here's what the plot beats that were set up, and here's why they matter because the way they were set up. So there's a lot of characters to get.
Yeah.
God, there's a lot of characters. The only one that really matters is this guy named Shigaraki. He's
main antagonist though.
Yeah, he's the main
My favorite
antagonist,
character.
and he's the apprentice of All for One. Satan I established earlier who can steal powers. This is his apprentice. His plan is I'm going to set up Shigaraki to be superpowered. I'm going to give him all the powers. Then I'm going to put my soul into Shigaraki's body and kill Shigaraki. Doesn't quite work out for the big bad guy, but that's a problem for later to deal with.
Yeah.
Shigaraki though,
And the first
go ahead.
And the first half of his name rhymes with
Yes. So Shigaraki is
my favorite.
Your favorite word. It's a really interesting character in terms of where he's at in the universe. He is the grandson of, by the way, spoilers. This is a spoiler, chat. Remember, chat, we are spoiling things. Don't bitch at me.
Oh, hang on.
Is
it the great grandson? Is it that?
Close. He's the grandson of All Might, the big superheroes, mentor.
I'm thinking of someone else.
No. So the chick who taught All Might how to be a badass and like all of his stuff and gave him, the power, this is her grandson. She failed as a mother, and this is a very important plot point, because her son grew up without her around because she was out being superhero too much. So he grew up hating heroes. So what do you think happened when he eventually had kids? He told his kid how bad heroes were, and he raised his kid to hate heroes. And he would like smack his kid whenever the kid was talking about heroes, and would verbally abuse him and all this stuff. So the kid grew up, Shigaraki, abused and hated heroes. And All for One, being just the villainous evil bastard he is, made sure to let it happen. He made sure to slowly encourage like things to go wrong around their house to cause more problems, so Shigaraki would get blamed, so he'd get smacked around more. Then he went in there after the kid finally snapped and ended up killing his parents. He, took him with him and said, all right, I'll take you with me, boy. I'll show you how we can get back at those naughty, naughty heroes. Just because he's so petty, he wanted to make sure that he took the grandchild of one of his rivals just to screw them over. It's great.
Yeah.
So he was using stolen powers to like knock a vase off the bedstand and stuff and blame it on him.
And like cause problems.
Yeah,
I did not know that. That is horrible.
Oh my goodness.
He is literally Satan. He's fantastic. He's just the most evil bastard there is. And then he raises this kid to be this way. He also fucks with other people and sets up basically every villain in the show that is like a super villain is because All for One fucked with them in some way to make them like push down this path, or they had some fundamental flaw and they were a reflection of Deku, which is a really good thing for a storyteller.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. All the major villains. And I will tell you right now, the best villain of the show is a villain named Stain. He is the first major villain they actually deal with in the show. I know
Stain is fantastic.
So
he's the best one.
Yes, and I'm going to explain why he's the best one. So all the stuff we've established so far.
Can I interject real quick, Quid?
Go ahead.
So Jacob Portdaven says, my mom sucks. She's out saving the world and protecting people. That's kind of the point that they're making, is that you can't do both at least with specifically the mom, is that even though she's out saving the world and protecting people, she was not present as a mother. That's sort of the point, is that, and it's the irony of like, you're trying to do your best to be a hero, but because you're neglecting the ones closest to you, it ends up becoming the world's greatest villain. That's sort of the dramatic irony or whatever. Only other thing is Shigaraki, if you want a personality of him, he likes League of Legends. That's all I'm putting, and that is confirmed by the author that he likes League of Legends.
I don't think that's a major plot point that he likes League of Legends. The only one of the villains to survive at the end of the story, in him, bonded over League of Legends.
Oh.
Yeah. I also want to say something else
didn't-
chat here. Jacob said he dropped out with Mr. Gentile with his totally not lolly girlfriend. I know the arc you're talking about. That is the most upsetting and boring shit that happened. That stupid motherfucker comes back. It is important in the final parts of the story. We don't have time to get into him right now, but basically he forms like a villain reform club, and he comes back and starts helping people in the last few chapters. It's ridiculous. But I want to talk about Stain because Stain is the best character.
I like Gentle as a concept.
Yeah, as a concept.
So if Stain is the best villain, he's the first villain.
Well, no, I got a big...
Does that mean that only a third of the thing is worth reading at this point? Because
No. Stain comes back, and he's sort of an ever-present force in the series.
Yeah. So you have to set up why Stain is so good. So at this point, I told you guys how everybody's super obsessed with the celebrity part of being a hero. Stain is also obsessed with heroes, but he realizes that heroes should be doing good things to help. And he comes from the ghetto. He sees all the terrible things that are going on, and he realizes this sucks that all the heroes just care about helping people. You know why they only care about helping people? Because All Might did too good of a job. There's no villains for them to go up against. I'm going to show these fuckers what a real villain is. So he goes out and becomes a serial killer, only killing heroes, and he's incredibly badass about it. He's got he's got his edgy katana, he's got his red bandanas flowing in the wind. If he licks your blood, you're paralyzed and stuff. It's awesome. But he's constantly monologuing and talking to people, and he sets up situations where a hero can try to run away or save a kid in danger because he's about to I'm about to kill this kid, and if they run away, it turns out he actually had a thing over there to catch them because he knew they were cowards and ran away. If they'd run to save the kid, they would have lived. But because they ran away, they fell into his trap because he knows how cowardly and crappy heroes are. It's that's fucking great.
Yeah,
it's a badass.
And one of the main conflicts in the series is the balance between paying heroes and should heroes be doing hero work for the sake of it.
Yeah.
With the weird it's this very delicate balance of yes, we should have heroes who are doing it for altruism because they genuinely believe in it, but the issue then becomes how do they sustain themselves?
Yeah.
And also, is it a problem if heroes are doing the work? If they're doing the work, is that an issue, or do they need to not be paid to do it?
Also, there's a question of government oversight and vigilantes and all that.
That too.
It does have a lot of interesting things to say, and that's why Stain is such, as Never said, a good character, because he kind of deconstructs the entire universe that it sets up, but the universe it sets up only works in a meta that you understand how Marvel and all that works. It's really well done. And then Stain, of course, fights the heroes. And what does he do? He starts to kill one of the older brothers of one of the secondary protagonists. While they're there, it turns out that the main kids interrupt Stain. They're oh, we got to fight him. And they're all right. He's I'll just kill you kids too, because you're training to be heroes. You're training to be failures. And Deku's well, yeah, well, I'm going to stop you, buddy. He's oh yeah, you get the glory out of it. He's no, I'm going to sit here. I'm going to fight you till I die. That way my friends can escape. And Stain's kind of really? You're going to sacrifice yourself? He's yeah, of course I am. I'm going to be a hero. So Stain's all right, you're the only person I respect now. You're the first person besides All Might that gives a shit. And because of that, I'm not going to kill you. I'm still going to beat the shit out of you, but I'm not going to kill you.
The exact line is that one of Deku's friends is doing it specifically because, but you killed my brother! Well, he's not dead, but functionally, you killed my brother! And he's doing it solely for revenge. It's just then you're not a fucking hero. Yep. You're not doing it for the good of it. You're trying to kill me for doing something, so you're not a real hero. So when he goes in and everybody gets his shit rocked, Deku's just I gotta stand by my friend. He's my friend. He's only ever trying to do something good. And Sam's just oh shit.
First person to suck in this entire world. Congratulations.
It's
great.
The most honorable person he's seen in probably forever.
Exactly, and that's the thing about Stain. And it's funny because all the villains, the rest of the villains of the show, get inspired by him. It's really neat how he's constantly this ever-present force. That a lot of the villains have critiques of society and the way they want to deconstruct it because they think that their aspects is gone. And I will also say, as a vehicle for the plot, all of the villains who show up have really, really, really good societal critiques. Unlike a lot of the Marvel movies, all the villains here at least represent some societal force. So I know you guys have seen, he's a bit of a later villain, Doofenshmirtz. You know, you've seen him throughout it, you know, and I know you've seen the memes of
Yeah,
him.
stupid schmerz.
So Doofenshmirtz, his entire ideology is like hyper anarcho-liberalism. He wants everybody to be as free as possible and damn the consequences. If you're pathetic enough to get killed by somebody more powerful than you, that's on you, man. You should have been, you know, you should have no government restrictions, anarcho-capitalism all the way, baby. And it is fascinating to have that be the villain because all the, you know, the ideas of freedom is always something you want heroes to have. That's always heroic to be pushing for more freedom. But what if it's too far?
Oh,
And now you have these guys who are basically terrorists in the name of more freedom, and the heroes have to grapple with, well, we need some restrictions, which is a good critique of setting, and actually a good question to ask of how free should you be when people can literally walk around and throw nuclear warheads at each other? Should some people be
Yeah.
restricted? Should they just execute some people whose powers are too evil? What if your power is summoning demons when you sneeze? Should we just kill you? It'd be safer for
Yeah,
society.
your power
if
is
we
just
did.
AIDS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what if your
It's
power?
everyone
There's several
AIDS.
people whose powers are just I give everybody around me AIDS. What do you do with that person?
Kind of gotta do something.
That's very difficult questions.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't give an answer in the end, kind of.
Yeah, I know. It's what sucks is they set it up. They have a couple answers, and it's very much implied that these type of questions are constantly going on in Hero Society. And in fact, they do start to get chipped away and resolved at the end, the last few chapters of the book. It's great when you're watching it, you're reading the ending. It's like, oh, we're starting to figure out some of these questions, and some of the kids who didn't have any opinions, like Deku, start to grow opinions on things. Start to grow situations where, like, hey, we need to push more for this, or we need to establish more for this. And it's like, oh, you're getting there, and the fucking thing ends. And it's so unsatisfactory, and it just ends off screen. So here's a big plot point throughout the entire thing. You can just see how many of these people look like fucked up animals and monsters and stuff. They're called, what do they call, like ab-mutants or something like that? They got a weird name. Basically, they say
No, there's three different kinds of quirks.
yes, but they're like the minority that everybody hates type of quirks, and they look too weird. You know, you look like a pile of poop.
That's
And we hate you. That's
Yeah.
what it is. Though. That's
So
the
there are
problem.
three quirk types. There is emitter, so that way you can generate stuff like how Bakugo generates the explosions. There is the transformation one that allows you to like you change your form of like stretchy arms like Plastic Man or whatever. And then the one that's kind of gets emphasis in the show is mutant, where you permanently change your body structure.
yeah.
And one of the guys looks like a fucking Ninja Turtle.
Dude, he's
His
a
name is
bird.
Spinner. It's a reference to all four Ninja
Is he
Turtles
a
at once.
teenager?
He's the other League of Legends player.
Oh no.
The reason
Well,
him
maybe
and Shigaraki bond is because they're League of Legends players, and that's why. And he says, Spinners, the only reason I became a villain was because he's the first person to ever treat me like a human, because everybody else treats me like an abhorrent monster. And that's a big plot point in the show, is almost all the villains are these mutant people. Which it's a bit of an interesting commentary on, yeah, we're all human here, but you don't look human enough, so we're going to be racist to you, essentially. But they're not. There's a lot of them are just still good people. In fact, a couple of them become the heroes that we see throughout the show. So it's asking a lot of interesting questions instead of being like, oh, let's deal with racism in a stupid way. It's like, no, you look disgusting. That's how we're going to deal with this weird thing. And the show at the very end starts setting up, hey, the kids who went through this, all the kids who fought these people, realize how bad the mutants have it in society. So Deku and Bakugo and all the other kids agree to start pushing for it. There's even a line at the end of the thing, like Bakugo's doing activism to promote like Society for Mutants. That's like one of the notes in the thing. It's like, okay, so they're doing that. Why is that a side note? That should be like the entire, like the final bit of the story. We should see all that on the screen. We should see more of these mutant people being shown off and accepted in society, because the kids who grew up in this generation here with Deku and all them realized just how screwed up it was, that all these mutants were so abused, and how they just needed more friends. And if they had, if we all hung out and became friends with these guys, they wouldn't be villains. I know it's a little bit childish, but like, damn it, man, that's something. And they fucked it up in the end.
I got you, but like also how relevant was that to like the plot of the whole thing preceding that? Like would it feel a little jarring if we just saw that out of nowhere and tried to make it prominent? Because
that's been happening in the back
I don't-
of the whole thing for like 10 years that the show's been going on, or the book's been going on. It's been established.
Yeah.
All right, so you know that Fox dolphin chick that was posted here with the huge tits that I'm gonna put on the screen later, Ipa.
No.
She is
that is ordinary woman. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So it is noted that like she is hated and reviled by people, and she's like a very nice person. That's it. Everybody like abuses her.
Oh,
and try to
there
kill
is a
her
compliment. Yeah.
because she's like, oh, look at her. She's all gross and weird. She just is a nice, right, like a normal lady in the actual show. She like works at a flower shop or something. Just a normal girl. But because she looks like that, society treats her like crap. And that's important, like season 6 and 7, which is, as we're going through the show, as we're setting stuff up, this is leading to this. Again, a lot of the villains joined the bad guy side because they were abused and ostracized from society. They were never given a chance to do something. And that comes up constantly. Okay. One of the kids who tries to be a hero, his power is mind control. And he's like, everybody keeps telling me that I should be a villain because my power is mind controlling people. But, like, I don't want to do that. I want to be a hero.
That's curious. Yeah, I feel like the power of mind control is like it's such a great you have so much power that like you really probably would become selfish.
No, I want to be a good person. It's fascinating.
Actually, that the conversation about Ordinary Woman made me wonder. Maybe the author's reason for wishing he kept her isn't as bad as it sounds, because it sounds like she would be a good way, as the story gets to an end, to bring up more ideas around the mutants.
The bunny girl was not mutant enough. The bunny girl he wishes he kept was not mutated enough.
I mean, there's a lot of characters that look monstrous, but no one cares, or it's like kind of cute, right?
Yeah.
Like everyone likes the frog girl. And she's a mutant, but she's not like weirdly mutated. She still mostly looks like a normal girl.
Yeah. She's like got the mutant stuff.
Same with the bunny. I think there's some mutants that are also like heroes. Like I'm pretty sure there's like an otter girl and a shark guy.
Yep.
At one point in the story, and no one really cares about them.
Number 8.
Yeah, Killer Orca.
Oh, right. Yeah, there's Killer Orca. Whose superpower is that he's an orca.
Yeah.
He's fucking orca.
Yeah. So again, the show it definitely shows that you can be that, but society, all these people talk about having to overcome societal stuff, and again, that's an interesting concept. They drop it, and yet this is as we start moving towards the ending. All these plot points that I'm setting up, you'll see how they just bungle them all in the ending, because I think, I think at this point, all the major plot points that are important for why the ending sucks have been hit. Can you think of anything I missed, Garbled, Chat, or Shadow?
Nothing off the top of my head.
So a lot of these things I didn't know. I know about like the early story. I don't really know anything beyond.
Right. We have to emphasize more of like, even if you don't have a quirk that is specifically built for punch fighting or utility, you can still be a hero and establish pretty well through Night Eye.
Yeah, so this is something that, again, Pag's going to get excited for because he understands how to write a story. So Deku, here's the big plot points about him. He's a non-quirked up white boy. Now he's got a quirk. He's got green hair.
He's good
a
with
nerd,
sauce.
And he loves All Might, and he loves superheroes. Now he's All Might's apprentice. Okay? So we eventually meet...
Yeah, that's very rich.
Yeah, he's very rich. So as we're going through, we meet another character who's going to take Deku on as a temporary apprentice. He's got green hair. He's a nerd. He loves All Might, and he's got basically no quirk. His quirk exists, but like it's not even important. He loves superheroes, and he runs his own agency. He calls it the Night Eye Detective Agency because they run superhero groups, and he does a lot of the investigations and a lot of the harder to solve crimes. That's what he takes on because he thinks that these are the ones that fall through the cracks. Because every hero can punch, but not every hero can sit down and connect dots between who bought something here, who did something here, and that's what he excels at. So now we have this guy, and he does end up dying because he fights a villain who's like probably the second most powerful guy, or third most powerful guy to ever live. Fights him, and ends up going toe to toe with him for a long time until he finally collapses and dies because he did all this work. But that's the character that Deku's going to be right there. As a writer, you don't introduce a guy with the same physical characteristics, the same emotional attachment, the same fucking hobbies, and the same, hey, this is, a character who runs their own agency and has all this knowledge and is basically like one step below the guy in the chair, the Barbara Gordon who knows everything, the bat computer. He's running that job. But they fuck it up in the end. That's what's so frustrating. Because that's the character. That's Deku's end right there, in form here. As a storyteller, that's the microcosm of it. And yeah, he proves he's an even bigger fanboy than Deku. Jacob's right. It's so frustrating. Because you look at it and that's what his plot's supposed to be. Because I'm going to tell you guys right now, I think it's spoilers, Deku and Shigaraki get into a big fight. There's a whole bunch of shenanigans that happen, and unfortunately, Shigaraki doesn't make it. Deku makes it after a huge blown-out fight. Deku loses most of his power. He has a little bit of it, but it's basically gone at this point. Wow. So now you're like, this is it. He's got all of his powers gone. What can Deku do without having any powers? The show says he becomes a whiny little cockboy and just works at the school and is happy that his friends don't talk to him anymore. Are you kidding me? The dude had literal books and books filled with research on heroes. How is he not the head researcher at any industry? How is he not, just as a storytelling perspective, running his own fucking hero agency, the biggest in the world, and he hired all of his friends from high school? That's the easiest thing to write. And it lets you show, hey, Deku has no powers, but he's still the most important hero in society. He can't lift a punch.
Because he's the one keeping it afloat.
Yes.
I think there's even a way that they could go similar to what they did, where he's in charge of the school because of all of his knowledge, but he's just like a normal teacher, isn't he?
So you can also do it that there's so many different ways to take it.
Okay.
At the ending, they give him a super suit that he could go and use and still do hero work with. So how you can even do it that way?
The suit. Oh my
yes,
God.
But if you wanted to use the super suit, you could have it be, hey, my body's not what it used to be because I got the quirk a little bit fucked up. So most of the time, I'm going to be in the chair. But if I really need to, I can also go out in the field, and I'm still the greatest hero because I saved the entire world from the greatest antagonist.
So I had a very different reaction to the ending. Probably because I'm very far away from the story. You know what I mean? I'm not very attached to anything.
Yeah.
So what I've been hearing is a lot of people have a very extreme reaction to what Deku does and the implications of that. So when I read the ending, all I read it as is after high school, him and his friends all had very busy lives, so they didn't really stay in contact as much as they wanted to. They don't hang out anymore. And now he works as a teacher. I don't really see the cuck bit. I mean, it doesn't, the girl isn't around in it, and it suggested that he doesn't. Well, let me just explain the whole thing. And they don't really seem to talk as much anymore. But he still seems to be using his knowledge for stuff. There's a scene where there's the little kid running around, and he wants to get into the hero school, and so Deku gives him pointers. He's shown to still be very lively and active and know things. It just kind of seems like afterwards he sort of settled down and just became a normal teacher and wasn't very focused on anything big happening.
Well, hang on. Is there a time lapse in between him becoming a teacher and the whole saving the world thing?
8 years.
8 years. 8 years.
Forward 8 years. There's no here's what happened.
It's 8 years. They say he finishes high school. Everyone gets a job. It gives a little brief description of what some of the other characters are doing, and it's shown that he's currently teaching people. And then it also mentions that they don't hang out as much anymore. It doesn't specify how long they haven't hanged out. It doesn't specify if they still talk and text all the time, if they're on phone calls all the time. It just specifically says we can't find our free times don't line up. all the book
Yeah, the
actually
issue is
says.
that it's 8 years. Also, a lot of like the cuck stuff is just implied. It's not outright stated. I think
Right.
that's the issue that people have with
It's
it.
a-
Is
Here-
that
here's the
very
issue.
much
People,
I want
people
to interrupt.
interpret
I
it.
didn't read the cuck stuff at all. Like
I know, but I want to
didn't
interrupt
get
for a
that
sec,
at
Shadow,
all.
because you got to remember. Did you read the chapter before 30?
Nope.
Okay, so just so you all
I
know,
watched
here's
it
why
every
this is such a
day.
problem. Chapter 29 should have been the actual ending, because the very last chapter, it's so frustrating because at the end, I'm not going to explain why, but Araka, the chick, the one who's the one who can make gravity float that I talked about earlier, she decides that she's going to leave like the group because she wants to be on her own because she's depressed because of somebody died for her. That's the quick version of what happened. So she goes off to basically say, I'm going to go home, guys. Don't worry about me. Turns her phones off, goes to a mountaintop. Pop's going to have to mute you because the animal's in the background. So she goes off to the top mountaintop. She's like, all right, I'm just going to sit up here. She starts crying. And then Deku shows up like 10 minutes later. He's like, what are you doing here? He's like, oh, you said you were going home, but I didn't believe you. I knew you were going to come here. I used a little bit of my power to get up here to see you. And that's where they have that whole emotional scene where he's like, you're my hero, Oraka. I really care about you. You've always been here for me. We're super close. Fantastic. So now it establishes, which they don't do anymore, the eventual part where it says, hey, they're going to get together. That's okay. We're going to assume that's not going to happen again. As they're sitting up there, all of her friends and all of his friends come running up the hill, and they're all like, we thought you guys were going to be here. We want to find you guys. We care about you. We're friends forever. Let's do a final montage. Look, we were all supposed to go to a party tonight, but screw it. Let's hang out together. We're all friends. We're never going to figure this out. That's how it ends. That's literally the page before you get to the next page, which like, and 8 years later, we all hate each other and don't talk to each other. What are you talking about? The last page flip, like you could flip it back, was all of them hanging out, excited, teamed up, we're best friends for life. It's literally the next page is, and we stopped talking
No, I
and
don't see
lost
my
shit for 8
friends.
years. That's the problem. That's why it hit so poorly. That's why it hits like, what the fuck? You just undid everything. Because the literal page before had her crying out her love for him. We don't see a wedding. Him crying out his love for her. We have no idea if they're in a relationship. We don't even know if they talk anymore because the 30 says he doesn't talk to them. He watches her on TV and says, oh, look, she's doing that great thing. How nice. That implies they're not together. Why would you look at TV with all the other characters she looked longer like, oh, wow, cool. Bakugo is, he's almost at that number 1 status, and man, Todoroki's on his way up there. That's cool for them. What? Why would you do that? Why the hell would you imply that they're going to have all this great ending literally the page before? That's why it's so frustrating. And that's why it made me so angry, and people were joking about the cuck thing. Because in the last page was, we're one step before the wedding, and the next page, he's just alone. What happened in the last 2 pages?
I'm so fascinated by the
looking at each other, smiling, and then immediately goes to, "Hey guys, it's 8 years later."
Yeah,
I don't think he sees
mean,
her on TV though. I thought that was just like a random flash cut, not a TV screen.
even if it is,
Let
why would you
me
have it like that?
check.
Why would the flash cut be him thinking about her work, not their date, their wedding, their kids? The
No, it's
slapping sex they have.
next up in Team Up News.
It's
They're
a news
doing
broadcast.
elementary school touring nationwide.
I see.
It's so weird to me that the author wouldn't have committed, because there's 2 ways you could go with that. You can go the way they do in chapter 29, you said, where it's, hey, we're all together. And then in chapter 30, it's, hey, we're all apart. You'd think he would have committed to either 29, hey, guys, we really want to help each other, help people, so we might need to go to different places. Or in 30, hey, we're also in good contact. I don't understand why the author would then like flip-flop between those and not commit. I'm fascinated by what must have gone through the author's mind.
Yeah, and that's the main issue, is that everything literally up to right before the final chapter is so very much about we're gonna be together, and we're all friends, and the important part is that like we were all heroes and we did this shit together, and that's how we can go forward in the future. And then we go to the future, and it's just like, yo, who are you? I don't know who the fuck you guys are. Like, you come for a private appointment or some shit?
The last page has Deku
Dude,
say, "I think I can get some of this power back. There's a little bit of the spark of one for all lingering inside me." And then you flip the page, and it's 8 years later. I got no powers, no job, no girlfriend. Oh, why would you do it?
Oh, no.
You just had to not publish anything. Just hang yourself and say, "Up, chapter 30 didn't happen. Sucks for you guys." Cliffhanger, I guess.
Nah, wait,
Like,
that's
come
very,
on, man. Why would you
that's
do
very
that?
realistic.
So annoying.
That's-
Because all you had to do, and here's just to put this perspective. I want you all to know, from a storyteller's perspective, I hate this ending so much. The entire sacrifice Deku does to give up his powers, to arguably give up the spotlight, give up everything to do the right thing. That's the moral message, sure. That's probably what the author was going for. He then gives him a super suit to undo all of that. Are you kidding me? What the hell is wrong with you as a creator? Why would you do this? The point of him losing all his powers is a bittersweet victory, and this is what a real hero is like: somebody who gives up all of it, loses his dreams to save society, but then you give it back to him. Why? Why would you do this? And then, even worse, it says, "Oh yeah, Bakugo, his bully, was the biggest contributor, working like 2 jobs to make sure the super suit's paid for." They're best friends with Yaoyorozu. That's the chick who can create things with the big tits and the black hair. She's like from a multi-million-dollar family. There's an entire plot point in one of the episodes that they have like $2,000 imported tea because she just wanted to have it with her friends. That's how rich she is. Her family can send her imported tea from like across the world on a whim. And
and there's some jokes scattered across the series about
Yes.
how rich she is. Of like when they move into the dorms, hers is literally packed to the gills, and she's like, "I'm not used to having this little space," and everybody else is like, "What the fuck?"
It's like, what the hell? That's how rich she is, and she didn't do anything.
You
She was
think
their
it's
buddy. Deku saved her ass like multiple times. All these people owe him his life without him saving the world at least 10 times over. And she couldn't say, "Yeah, you know what? I'll go forego one less Lamborghini so my crippled friend can walk again." And it's not like she's just stuck.
I mean, he can walk.
She's very
already,
much in
but-
the whole
right.
show. The whole time she's very much like, "I have all this money. I want to do the right thing. Let me give it to poor people. Let's start a soup kitchen with my money." She does everything she can to do the right thing with it. And so it's completely out of character for her.
She won't help Deku.
Just won't help Deku. Why?
Yeah, fuck off, you little bastard. You don't get shit.
Something that
You have
might
to spend
have been
money to make
interesting-
money. You make this man a superhero again, and you can save a lot more people.
Something that might have been interesting that you made me think of is if a more thematic ending would probably be her doing that, but also the suit that they end up with was like based on the powers of his friends. I feel like that'd be somewhat thematic in that it would, they all had to work together to help make that for him. But
Well, even
while also harkening back to the power he just had, kind of, and it sort of brings some things full loopsy. I don't know. It sounds like there were so many ways that they could have gone about this, and they just chose the way that chops everything right at the end.
dude, even before we get to like how maybe you could fix that little detail about it and make it like satisfactory, like why do you think that even happened? Like that the person just kind of had this like lack of is that like evidence of the ending being like rushed? And it's
Yeah,
like
pretty
I'm
much.
trying to figure out what the issue
I
was
mean,
that caused it to happen, because
From
like
the
it would have made
sounds of it,
perfect.
it seems like
Hang on,
he
just-
didn't really care about the end. He was
one
like,
second.
okay, time to
One
wrap
second.
up.
Jacob brings up another great point. Deku's
Yeah.
also friends with the chick who literally tries to hop on his dick multiple times. This chick, you know what she is? The greatest inventor of all time.
Yeah.
She literally invents powers and tools never before seen by God or man on a whim for Deku. Like, what?
No, she does come together to make the thing.
Yeah.
It's just that also it's just like, sorry, dog. I know that you're like the best hero ever. I can't do this on spec for you, man. It's gonna have to take us 8 years and also a lot of money. Don't worry about it.
You're gonna have to pay me for
The
that,
author
buddy.
could have written it any way that he wanted to. It didn't have to take 8 years, but it's just sort of like, what if I just made him like a teacher for, I don't know, 8 years and didn't have him doing any of his dream and just like, I don't know, contradicting the main point of the story, which is that anybody can be a hero?
You know, the funny thing is,
Who cares?
you're right. If they had done it like 2 days after, then it would have been different. It would have been a lot different if they would have presented him the super suit 2 days after. That would have made a lot of difference in how the
Or maybe even just 1 year. So that's why he
Sooner
So
than fucking
yeah, graduation, that would have made sense. The rest of high school is boring. They have a
Yeah.
normal-ish high school, and then at the end of high school, that actually would have been much more interesting, you know?
Yeah.
And maybe everyone like doesn't hang out with him as much, and he thinks that everyone doesn't like him, but they're actually secretly working together to try and like put this super
How
suit
cool would it be if
together.
chapter
That
430...
would be really cool. Yeah, that'd be a really
It's
cool
really
end.
good shit.
Yeah, how neat would it be if
Doesn't
chapter
all of that
430 was the
imply
10-year high school reunion, and instead of all them going to the high school, they plan a surprise party for Deku, and they know that even if he works at the high school, they plan it all around that. They all get together. He already has a suit at this point, of course, but like they all show up like, hey man, we never forgot you. Life's gotten our way. I've got kids now. I've got a wife. I work in Egypt now. All these different things, but we never forgot you, Deku. That's the final panel, and it's not just his classmates. It's the upperclassmen who were there at the beginning, like Moroku and all the other people, the Spiral Girl. It's Class 1B. It's the random American kids he became friends with. They all show back up for like the 10-year reunion and say, hey man, we never forgot you, Deku. Even if society did, we never forgot you. No, but society forgot him and his friends forgot him. It's been 8 years. This kid was televised on TV, punching Satan out and giving up his power to destroy him. We know who like LeBron James is. He's not even as famous as Deku should be. He punched Satan.
Well,
sucks.
society didn't forget him. I mean,
Sure,
he's not being formed by fans.
They think he's a myth.
I'm not sure if I would consider it a myth, but
The kid
point-
says that though.
the point,
The
though-
kid literally says,
yeah,
wow,
whoa,
Deku,
you
I
really
thought you
exist,
were fake,
holy
bro."
cow.
Doesn't he say you're like a real guy?
He says the exact quote is, "You really exist, holy cow!" Like we
Really,
might be
that's
reading a
exactly
bit
what
too much into it, but it's also like, dog, if you're making it that ambiguous, of like, he could definitely be saying like, "Oh, it's you, that great hero. You actually exist. That's amazing."
Yeah, it's really
Or it
you.
could
Or
be
something like
like,
that.
Why say exist?
Yeah,
Wow,
but
you're here?
History books, young man. I've heard about you. Are you still real?
Yeah, it should be
I think
wild
you would
when
have
you're
to
here,
wait a few-
not when you exist. If I'm playing basketball and Shaq shows up, it's not, oh my god, Shaquille O'Neal, you're not the Tooth Fairy. It's, wow, Shaq's playing basketball with me.
And even if it was like someone historical, if you somehow met George Washington, you wouldn't go, wow, you were real? You'd go, wait, you're alive? But you wouldn't
think
think
Bill
that he was some mythical person if you actually knew about him.
Because what Kid just brought up about like the phrasing of what you would say if you met Shaq. I do not know if anyone here speaks Japanese. Is there a mistranslation there that we just get the wrong context of that quote based on how it's
I don't
translated?
believe so. Like, I don't
been
speak
2 weeks.
Japanese, but the issue is that there isn't
crazy.
much being said at all.
So
Like,
here's
it's
something to
literally
remember.
like
It's
2
been 2
sentences.
weeks. Well, hey, this has been 2 weeks. They would have come out with a clarification or a re-fixing of it if it was. There's enough people who this has been hot. This has been fire cakes. People would have immediately, if they spoke Japanese and this was like fundamentally different in Japan, come out with it. I've already seen people coping and complaining on like the Reddits and all and Twitter saying, "Oh, well, the Japanese people are fans of it." I'm sorry, the Japanese are fans of gacha games. Their opinions don't matter. All right? They're less than dirt when it comes to knowing how stories is. Almost all their stories suck. So don't tell me that they like the end of things. How many anime has ended horribly? Go back to Attack on Titan. That's had, 5 endings, and 4 of them have been the worst thing I've ever read? Ugh.
All right.
I do wonder if there was meaning and or symbolism that's lost cross-culturally, so that way it fits more into like
So I don't think so, because the author very clearly knows Americans love his book. He also is a huge Ameriboo, to the point where Deku's original high school is called like Tatooine High. He trains on Naboo Beach. He goes to the Dantooine Mall. Like all these very specific, super nerdy Star Wars references are everywhere.
And also, his entire manga is based on American superheroes. So,
why do you think All Might has the the Detroit Smash and the Kansas Kick like we talked about earlier? He loves America, and he very much wants to write what would be the actual continuation of the American comics industry, which is why it's so frustrating, because this is what American comics should be. This is how you deal with a world full of heroes. It's a lot of the small plot points that happen here. That's kind of what we should be tackling here. Instead of tackling the same 5 stories over and over with race-swapped and gender-swapped characters who are not uninteresting, you should introduce actually superhero problems and advance the genre. But no. And then this fucking ending, it makes me so angry, because you had it. All you had to do was like end it in a satisfactory way. I remember earlier in chat I said I was going to spoil a couple things, and again, we're going to spoil right now, No Country for Old Men. The ending of No Country for Old Men is terrible. It feels bad, and you're like, wow, I hate that, but in a good way. You read it, and it's like... It's a bad ending because it's not what you want to happen. It's not what shouldn't happen. So you read the ending, and at first you're kind of like, damn. But as you go through it, like, all right, I can understand what's happening here. And as you slowly start to unpack it, you begin to appreciate the ending. It's bittersweet, but it could not have ended any other way. I see what's going on here. Both the movie and the book, by the way, which are different. But now... you look at this, which is supposed to be the bittersweet ending. It has all the hallmarks of the same style of ending of, wow, this had to go somewhere that I didn't think it was going to go, and I should be unsatisfied, but you know what? Looking back, it's satisfactory. No! It fucks it up. By giving him the super suit, you completely undo any of the points that you had. But, like, it's frustrating because it's very clear he wants his cake and to eat it too. How do you ruin it this much? Oh!
Well, not just have his cake and eat it too, because as we've said, there are a lot of ways that you could have given that suit in a way that is more satisfying, that is more thematically relevant. But it sounds like he didn't know how to bake the cake to begin with. Or no, honestly, because we've just discussed how much he set up rather well, and he just failed at like the actual, I don't know, frosting stage. He went down to the sewer, got a schmear, and
a big glop of shit. Threw that right on top.
It's depressing because I look at this ending and I'm like, all you had to do was the mediocre thing. All you had to do was end normally. And people would have been satisfied, and it would have been excited and hyped, and it would have been like, you know what, that's fine. And I know what happened. Again, we talked about it multiple times here. He wanted to tell a different story. Just to let you guys know how obvious it is, he wanted to tell a different story. The entirety of My Hero, which took a decade to write, takes place in a year and a half in their high school. They get to be like sophomores at the end of the thing. This is their freshman year of high school, which is ridiculous how fast everything had to have happened. Also, remember how I said Deku has a one for all, where the power is passed out and it grows as more people add powers to it? There are 6 powers Deku has. The first one he gets is super strength. After about, I think it's season 4 or 5, he gets a second power called Black Whip, which is kind of like Spider-Man's whips, except you can mind control them, they come out of you. They're kind of like Doc Ock's tentacles mixed with Spider-Man's whips. Very cool power. That's season 5. So all the time going up, he's had 1 power until season 5. He spends all of season 5 barely figuring out how to use it. Then season 6 rolls around, and he's got all the powers at once, and he's using them all at once. Because we got to get going. Come on, I want to end this fucking story already. 2 seasons left, that's it. Like, you kidding me? You set up that he had all this learning to do with all these other powers, and he just uses them all at once into seasons, and he's been doing it for a decade. And he's still the same year.
And you can't even say... Yeah. You can't even say there was a time lapse, because, no, same year.
Yeah, I was about to say, like there's no in-between, like, training that's implied. Like, we pick up where we left off, right?
You know what this problem is? The guy didn't have an outline. The guy didn't plan this shit out from the beginning. He didn't look at how much time this should all take and kind of spread things out like a set of beads on a string so that, events happen in a good time. He didn't fucking
Thanks.
outline. That's the
just that,
thing.
but
You gotta
the other
outline your
problem he
stories.
ran into.
You gotta.
Yeah, the other problem is he didn't read something that's comparable. The answer is he should have just written this shit like Harry Potter. I know you're gonna laugh, but like
Yeah, for
Harry
real.
Potter has an incredibly
No, that's
good way.
you're right.
Yeah, well, just those of you who
Yeah.
don't know or haven't read Harry Potter in a while, go back and read just the 2 chapters where it talks about their classes and stuff. The way that time progresses in Harry Potter is phenomenal. He talks about classes. They talk about things they learn. It's very quick, very brief, very expeditious. Because Rowling knows I'm not here to tell you that these stupid little 8th graders are learning English. We know they're learning English. I have to make a reference to something they learned in English class once or twice. They talk about their English teacher. They talk about papers. Those little things to push you along so you know how the school year's going. We get none of that in My Hero. There's like 4 times they have tests, and all the tests are about to punch this thing. Go.
Well, I think there's also important to note that in each of the years in Harry Potter, there's a couple classes, usually like Defense of the Dark Arts, that is very relevant to the plot for that year, and that's the way for her to work the classes into the normal plot progression. Combined with the fact that the changing of the seasons in the books are also very relevant to like plot, not arcs. What am I looking for? Acts of the story. So there's a lot of ways you can do it, but if you spread out 10 hold on, I'm forgetting the word, series of manga, no, whatever, 10 of that into a year and a half, there is no good way to split the time up into arcs. Like you basically just go story, 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 story. Oh, by the way, we're done. That was a year. Don't worry about it.
You don't have to show
Plus,
details.
Harry.
But go ahead.
How long is let's say an arc in this show versus like a 700-page Harry Potter book?
Let me look up some numbers on that. It depends, depending upon the arc.
I'll just tell you
So
right now, think about it like this: there's 10 years of story. They've told hundreds of pages of story, at least 2,000, and it only captured a year. All you had to do, remember, as an author, there's a famous thing that I think it's, and I don't want to credit to Brandon Sanders. Either him or Orson Scott Card talks about. I listened to both. They both had the same lecture, but they were saying how, as an author, you can take a scene and stretch it for an eternity. How the sweat drips down as the second hand clicked to 00. You knew the moment was happening. It was palpitating. The alarm clock just started to go off. The chicken just started to go as the assassin slowly squeezed the trigger, and you could feel the kinetic energy transfer from the trigger of the back to the hammer as it slowly comes down, as you hear the wet dripping from the faucet. All that was 1 second. I spent, a minute talking about it? Or you could say, and 1,000 years passed. And 1,000 years have passed. You're the author. You have complete control over time. It's irrelevant. Like Pag said, you should have planned it. All you had to do was have off time, like almost filler if you wish, in between the main arcs, which kind of implied like, oh yeah, a year has passed, 6 months has passed, whatever. That's all you had to do.
So currently looking, roughly 20-ish chapters is about the average for one of his arcs. The longest, I think, is the final arc, but before that, the longest we got was 54. Like, they were pretty compact. There wasn't a lot.
54 what?
54 chapters.
All right.
There were 430 total, and the longest, total arc was 54.
Cool.
So 400 chapters in a year and a half.
We can just look online at how many arcs there are. It should be on the wiki, right?
Yep.
Well, I'm not even doing that. I'm just saying.
Exact number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23.
So there
23 total.
Yeah, any way you break it down, that ends up with 400 chapters or 20-something arcs within a year and a half. You have to basically kill any sense of time.
It is a little bit more than a year, but yeah, it would be. It's like at
Shadow,
best
it's not,
one
it's actually
arc
technically less than a year. Because remember, My Hero opens with them getting ready to join high school, and it ends with their graduation.
Yeah.
So technically,
I
it's like
thought they
10
got
months.
to the second year of high school. I thought they
No.
reached their second year in the story.
No. At the end, they're talking
Wait, I
about how
thought
they get
that's
to be
what was said
sophomores.
earlier.
Yes. They said, so
Yeah.
the entire plot point in chapter, again, 29, the one before it, how they're annoyed that all the freshmen are here now. Because the freshmen are saying how cool they are and how they just want to all slowly kiss Bakugo and Deku and Todoroki, how they're the biggest heroes ever. All the freshmen think they're the coolest and they want to be like them. That's the plot point for that chapter, which makes sense. These dudes who go to your high school literally killed Satan. So I think they'd be a big deal. Next chapter, though, we all forgot.
You really would think that.
So
Forgot about what? If it was important, we would have remembered it, right?
So 2 arcs per month? That's fucking crazy.
Considering
That's
I believe Deku has
insane
had
from a
40-something broken bones. Like, you for real? I know they have fast
medical
healing,
technology like
but
in this setting?
Huh?
Well,
What's
there's
the medical
there's
technology
whole-
like?
So,
in
medical
in
technology is
season
great. They have an
3,
old lady who kisses your boo-boos better, and it just heals instantly. But it only works for a limited amount of
Yeah.
time until the
But
plot says so.
But there's
Oh,
a
okay.
risk to it. In season 3, which was the last season I watched, or maybe 2, there's a whole plot point where like he goes overboard and they tell him if you do that like 1 or 2 more times, you're like it's just not gonna go back together.
It's Jover.
Yeah,
You
it's
can't do that
just
shit.
not gonna work if you fuck things up that badly. Over and over again. So this is a problem I've noticed with a lot of Japanese like a metric fuck ton of Japanese media has this exact problem where they're not written to ever end. And so
Right.
time is all fucky wucky. Some stories they don't have a problem with it. For example, Claymore, which is like Berserk if Berserk actually had an ending. Don't at anybody here because that story took less time to write than Berserk. It has a very definitive ending, and the ending is pretty well liked. It's pretty good. But there's like a very clear like progression of time, and even though that story also takes like not too long of a time altogether, things are spaced out enough that it doesn't feel super weird. This kind of makes me wonder, was this ever a problem before? Doesn't Deku spend like 3 months wandering around at one point in the story? I remember people talking about that.
It's
What do you mean by wandering around?
It's the
At
arc from
some
season
point,
6
he
and
fucks
7.
off and leaves all his friends.
Yeah, like he
The
doesn't
edgy arc.
quote unquote wander
Fuck that shit.
around. He goes like basically Batman and decides if I don't want to be with my friends because they could be in danger, and also I'm like Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan, so I'm just gonna do all this by myself. Later, guys, and then he leaves.
And do
And this
arcs
happens-
happen during that time period, or does it just skip to the end of that?
3 arcs happen?
It doesn't like skip immediately, but it does go through it pretty fast. And the issue I remember having with it at the time was that we never really got to talk to Deku about how he felt about it. It was just kind of like all of the friends getting together like, Deku, you shouldn't do that, that's not good for you. And then like they just throw him into like a bath and just be like, you're fixed now. And then he's just like, I'm fixed now. And then he's fixed now.
It feels like the story could have. Well, one, it definitely could have benefited from time skips. That seems very obvious.
Oh,
But
yes.
It doesn't seem like it tracked time very well. I remember watching the first 3 seasons. I thought they were almost at the end of the year then because they have like their own little. There's like an internship thing they do for like a week or something, which is the whole plot point with the. Where you see all the characters do everything. There's like the little apprenticeship where they're sidekicks. That's where we meet the murderer, the guy that Kid was talking about earlier in the story.
Yeah.
It feels like a lot of time passes, but it doesn't seem like that's actually tracked very well. Isn't even the I know there's the whole arc about the like school sports festival thing. That must have been, I thought that was like a month-long event or something, but I guess it was
No, that happens in like a day. and also with specifically with the internships. The first time when we do that, that was like a quote unquote like week provisional sort of thing. They aren't doing it for like a really extended period of time. It's just like, hey kids, we're gonna get you some practical experience out in the field for like a week, and then they do it again later on, where it's supposed to be like, I want to say 3 months, but I don't remember the exact time frame. But it's meant to be like, no, like you guys are second years now. They do progress time, but not too much. But as in, they go out and do a second one that's meant to be longer, and they're often paired with more professional heroes. The first time is just sort of to be like, it's like a week or whatever. Go ahead and have fun. Time progression in the series needed to go by a little bit faster.
Yeah,
Okay, I was trying to see if there's some timeline to see if anyone has like put together like how like the period of time that this happens within. So far, as of 6 years ago, there was 137 chapters got to the first week of September.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
Sorry, say that again?
Wait, okay. Wait, no. That mixed them up. Don't worry.
Like, I get it.
137 chapters got to the like first week of October. There you go.
I guess then that's another problem that's a problem on the story's fault if all of these chapters are supposed to be like literally happening like one after the other. Because that could work if this is literally all one continuous story with no break, but it doesn't feel like that. Like it's implied that like stuff happens on the weekend. It's implied they go to like normal-ish classes. But when you say that, it sounds like the story is just continuous, but it's not, right? Or is it supposed to be continuous?
Well,
Just to the
I'm assuming this time line was made with like we see them go to sleep or we see the same class. I assume that's how this does it because I see 1 day later battle trial occurs. 1 day later emergency exit Ida, villains steal the class schedule. 1 day later Wednesday USJ occurs. 1 day later Ochoko's backstory is revealed.
The spring break episode.
I actually have the thing. You ready here? So I found the timeline on the wiki. It's unofficial.
Okay.
So it starts in year 6 of their timeline because a bunch of prequel shit came out. Actually, hang on a sec. Let me get this on the screen for chat. Chat deserves to see this. I love you guys, chat. Don't worry.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
The more I'm learning about this, the more convoluted. Like the more I'm hearing about this, it doesn't necessarily make the ending worse. It kind of just makes the whole thing worse by like extension. Like this, I'm really like the more I hear this, the more the entire thing sounds kind of that. It kind of reminds me of looking back at Harry Potter and being like, man, the character writing was great, but everything else was kind of mid. And that's kind of the exact feeling I'm getting right now. I don't know if anyone else feels that way.
All right. So here we go, everybody. You ready? On screen. No, go away. Top up. We have starting here in year 6 of the timeline. There's a lot that happens beforehand, but like including if we go up a little bit here, where Izuku meets All Might in April and December, but that's all when he's a middle schooler. So starting here in January, where All Might trains with Midoriya. So he meets Midoriya, then he starts training with him in January. Then in February, that's when he gets the UA entrance exams. So that's chapter 4. We're already in February. Is that right on the screen? I'm sorry. My little chat window is different than what I'm looking at. All right. So now we're in February. And then March, that's when the League of Villains arc starts happening. That's when he's accepted to UA. April, that's when the battle trial arc happens. That's when Bakugo and him start fighting. That's when the class president's election. That's when they get attacked at the villains for the first thing. Then within April, remember they got attacked by the villains. A few weeks later, that's when the sports festival gets announced. That's when they do the rescue training stuff. Then the sports festival happens in May. Then Stain comes up and starts killing everybody. This is chapter 60, and we're in the end of May here. Now they get the final exams arc. I don't know why it's called that, but it is. This is when they got all they get the training. They go to the theme parks. This is when they start studying for their finals in June. I don't know why in June they have finals, but sure. July is when they take the finals. Then they actually start going out, and it says, all right, so we're going out to the school trips. This is where they do a slumber party. This is where they get attacked. This is where people start getting vandalized. This is the hideout raid. Remember where they go after the All for One and you have the big destructions? This is where they visit. This is the license exams in August. So think about that. It's August. We've only gotten to August, and they're already at 100, like Tio was saying. Then we get the provisional license exams again. Twice meets Overhaul, and All for One in One for All fight. Then we get the Shia Heisei arc. That's all in September. All that stuff that happens with the Yakuza dudes, that's just like a few weeks in September. Then they get to do remedial courses when they're back. So now we're up to chapter 170. It gets faster here. Then October. Then we have the school festival arc. That her, as you said an hour ago, favorite piece. Then this is when Deku fights Gentle and La Brava. Then they have the cultural festival again. Then they have all that shenanigans with that. Then November happens. That's the Pro Hero arc. This is where Endeavor and Hawk start fighting. This is where, they get high end. This is where they do joint training. Then this is when the Liberation Army starts in December. This is Doofenshmirtz's stuff right now. Then we have the movie. And then this is when he works for the agency in December. Now we're in January. So it's been 1 year. It's cycled one whole year already. We're at the work studies.
Now, we've gone through how many chapters exactly?
We are at chapter 240, and it's been 1 year. 240 chapters in a year. So, sorry, it starts to speed up.
Okay.
Still. We're not there.
An intensive first year of being a hero.
Yes, just in the
school.
first year. I think that's up to season 4 is the first year. So they're still.
So I didn't even get to the first year. I must have thought they were further along because of the finals arc, because I remember that arc. I remember the whole thing about
that's
finals.
halfway through the first year.
That's bizarre. That's not finals then. That's just midterms.
I guess they call it something else there. So, this is when Eraserhead and President Mike and Kirigori all go to learn more about All for One. Hawk starts investigating. This is when the next movie comes out. They're still working for Endeavor. This is the Paranormal Liberation War arc, so they actually start fighting Doofenshmirtz's people. That's all in March. Then Deku becomes emo for just the month of April. So that's all that's going on. So look at this. We go from January's 230 is 240. As March ends up, we're at 300. 60 chapters happen from January to March. So we're at 300 something in March. 306, that's when Deku leaves. Then all throughout that in April, that's when he's emo. Then as we get to 328, this is when Stars and Stripes happens. We do all the flashbacks and establishing stuff. This is where the UA Trader arc happens. Then the movie, and then the final war arc. So from April to May, it's 40 chapters.
Dude,
a year and a half.
I feel like this is like almost just a fundamental problem with anime in general. Like there's just so much, and it does feel like it's endless. Like you don't know how.
So here's the problem. I know a lot of people can say it's the business structure. That's actually false. That's the business structure is a problem for stuff like Dragon Ball, where it's written as every time they need to make more stuff, and the only characters in Dragon Ball are the main guys. My Hero does not have that problem. We have 7 major spin-offs of different characters, including one of the kids who goes on this whole Vigilante arc. I'm not even going to spoil that for everybody who hasn't read it yet. That's one of the coolest arcs of the whole story, is one of the kids from the club gets to go out and have his own arc where he's exploring and doing stuff as a hero, where he doesn't have a license and all that stuff. It's great. And it ties back into the main storyline. All right, cool.
Which one is that?
There's a separate series called Vigilantes, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but that's not the one where it's the separate kid. What's the...
I don't know how to explain the kid. Not spoil who it is. Hey, fuck, who cares?
DM it to me if you have the chance.
Spoiler chest. The guy with the multiple arms.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he has a whole arc where he goes out and becomes a hero on the side. Oh, here's another spoiler. Chat, you ready? This is gonna blow your fucking mind. So you saw there was a UA Trader arc. One of the kids is a traitor. Could you guess which one of the kids in their school's a traitor? If you guessed it was the gay guy who's a JoJo reference, you'd be right.
What?
That's just glossed over. Yeah, it turns out he's been working for Satan the whole time. The guy who's got laser beams that make his tummy upset? Yeah. He works for Satan, but he feels bad about working for Satan.
Well, also, the reason why he's working for Satan is that his parents pressured him into it because he didn't start with a quirk. He got a quirk. And also, we just are not going to focus on the fact that that all happened. It's sort of like, guess that guy was a traitor. Huh, that's really weird, but he feels bad about it.
Yeah, that's resolved in like a page. It's retarded. The ending is so rushed.
He said he's sorry.
It's okay, guys.
well,
Hitler said he was sorry.
Yeah, that's fine then.
Yeah,
So what you're saying is this is basically oh shoot, I was gonna say the Gem cartoon, but I can't remember that one.
Steven Universe?
No. So
Yes.
It's I think this is worse. So this is something that's going to... Mag probably noticed it because I definitely did. He gets worse with timing as it goes on. His timing at the beginning is fine. But again, he wants to end the fucking story. I can tell you right now, he had so much more shit planned. I think the opposite. Where Pag said he didn't think he did an outline, I think he did an outline. And I think that outline, he stuck to it too meticulously, and now he's tired of the story. He wants to write other stuff going on. Because, like, there's so many side stories he's done. He's had entire characters where they just, like, they stop following Deku and follow another character for, like, 10 chapters.
If you make an outline beforehand, though, you would be able to plan out all the timing a lot better. Like, that's one of the primary features of making an outline, is being able to time everything that happens in your story.
But what if I told you...
I don't think that he did
what if I told you that your outline's great and all, after you finish writing book 1 for your trilogy, now you have to put book 2 and 3 together into one book?
Yeah, I feel like it's
he chose to do this. If I told you you had to do it, you'd probably, there's some reason, like either you're not getting paid or whatever, but like he chose to do that.
Right.
That's, again, he rushed this shit. That's why the ending is so fucking bad. That's why nothing happens. When you read chapter 30, it's 6 pages where nothing is known. It jumps 8 years in the future, and we don't know anything. That's why there's jokes that he's a minimum wage worker and a cuck, because we don't see anything about him. It's fascinating how little is actually shown in that fucking time skip. And what we do get is horrible.
Well, yeah, but I feel like it might be... There's probably 1,000,001 different causes that fucking went into it, but it almost has the vibe of, like, he almost got so burnt out of, like, being to this one universe for such a long time and putting so much into it. He was probably... I don't know, he might have just been done. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he just wanted to end this. It felt rushed, and obviously it wasn't the best way to do it, but I feel like there's probably a myriad of reasons why it had to happen this way.
We may never know, because I don't speak enough Japanese to understand his interviews. All right, chat. I'm going to leave shortly. I promised you all that you could see the... definitely not for YouTube fan art. Don't worry, I've saved it up for YouTube.
It's just going to be one giant black bar. That's it.
So. It's just gonna have kid's face over all the inappropriate parts.
It's just gonna be like a woman in a niqab.
I know the next thing I'm doing for the server.
Spoiler for a project I'm working on. I might do that in something that I'm working on.
I believe it.
Sure.
I mean,
I actually can't get it to show on screen. That's funny.
What?
Yeah, I'm not sure why it's not working.
It's over.
Yeah, are you sure you censored it enough?
Joke.
Is that the issue? That you didn't censor it enough? So it's being like, sorry, dog, can't save that.
Like, OBS not letting me put it on. Let me just... There we go. Now it's on screen.
Man, how can you not show us the movie?
I just said I did, you
Require
fuck.
boob.
There you go, chat. There it is.
Need the boob.
Is it finally working?
Yeah, it's all working. And you can see my favorite feature, which is actually right here. It's All Might and Deku's mom. That's quite funny to me. There you go. It's just YouTube appropriate.
I sucked my
Young
dick.
guys gotta understand, all my getting with his mom is important to the plot. Oh,
Eh.
sorry, it just popped up for me on the stream.
Nice.
It's a wonderful censorship you got there.
Oh boy.
All right, you can go look this
Oh
up on
my
your own now,
God,
chat. All right, we're on the screen off.
Her name
I
is-
can't risk getting fully demonetized, so we did it. There you
Yeah,
go.
Plow
name
that
is just literally just called Ordinary Woman in English and Ippon Josei in Japanese.
Well, we're going to make like an Ippon Josei and Mainose. So thank you all for being here today, chat. I hope that we helped you all vent some of your frustrations. You got to listen to us talk about why the ending's so bad. All those who are coping and seething about how it's actually good, shut up. You're wrong. It could have been worse. I'll give you that. It could have been much worse, but it is incredibly unsatisfying, and you should demand better. Demand better of your authors. It is so not hard to write a mediocre ending that's satisfying. It's okay to end on a, well, that was fine. It's fine. The journey is the important part, especially manga, especially anime. The point is, what, especially shonen stuff, doubly goes for that. We're here to watch the fight. We're here to see the characters do funky things, and I want to enjoy my time with them. It's okay if you end it on just everybody's happy at the end. Frustrating.
But what if instead of happy, teacher? You know
You
what?
know what?
Actually,
He could
saying
have still
that
been a teacher.
there is
Oh, here-
But like,
there's an anime where the ending is the main character becomes a teacher, but people actually like that ending. But
right,
that was
hang on.
assassination classroom.
I don't want to start another discussion, but I did have the question of, is it more respectable to be a teacher in like Japanese culture than it is
Yes,
in
it is.
and again, I
compared
don't
to
think
The
yeah,
issue is still that it is more respectful, but the issue is still that the entire point is that he's going to be the greatest hero, and that he's not a hero. It's still of higher respect, but it's still like, I ordered a burger and you punched me in the dick and gave me a hot dog. I was like, what the fuck?
It would be funny if he did, like, in an interview, say the implication was, no, teachers are heroes.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of where he was going with that. I can see that that's where he's going with that. It's just that it was delivered
the
poorly
groundwork.
because then they gave him a super suit.
Yeah,
They gave him a
way.
super suit at the end. So it's like, oh yeah,
It's
maybe
not
they
relatable.
are heroes, but now you're a hero too. So fuck that moral. You do in fact need
saying.
superpowers.
it's so frustrating. How did you undercut everything you just did? The whole fucking point.
Teachers are the real heroes, but you know who's really the real heroes? Like people with superpowers. That's really they're the real
It sounds
actual
like
heroes.
at any point, if he did one fewer thing of all the things he did, everything would work.
Yeah. I also feel like you can salvage a kind of bad opener, but you can't salvage a bad ender.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's over. You ended it. You done
Yeah.
ended it.
Here you go, chat. Here's
Did you
something to
say an
chew on. Remember I warned you that we're going to spoil Full Metal Alchemist? Here's your
An
Full Metal
ender.
Alchemist spoilers.
Oh. Kid, I wish we would have talked
Hentai.
more about that. It's so good.
So just so you all know, these are the two main characters for both works. On the left, we got Ed, and on the right, we got Nezuko. Ed did not want to have the superhero stuff he got, but he still gives it up in the end because it was the right thing to do. After he gives up his superpowers, he has all his friends. He even gets with the best girl of the show and has a great time with her. They father many beautiful Aryan children. Zuko's dumbass, though, he gets ghosted by his friends because nobody has time to hang out with him for 8 years, and he loses the powers that he wanted. I still can't believe the fact that he ended up with nobody. I'm going to tell you right now, I could count 7 chicks who all basically were trying to rip his pants off at any time in the show and were like hopping on his knob.
They
Like,
only
One
loved
of
him
them
for his
died,
powers.
though,
kid.
so would you kick her?
I guess.
Yeah, but no. Yeah, you're right. But it's so frustrating. Yeah, I know one of them died. That's why the best girl who he's supposed to end up with, she literally is like, oh well, he's supposed to be your boyfriend canonically. I'm just gonna kill myself to save you. because that's the right thing to do, and nothing came of it. All right, chat. I'm sorry.
So you at least have 6. You don't have 7. You got 6. It's
no. This is so. All right, so the Toga, the tsundere blonde chick that you see, who's got the crazy eyes, who's got the rape.
Wrong dere.
Whatever.
She's not tsundere. She is yandere.
Sure.
I am the weeb expert. Tsundere is that you don't want to express your feelings. Yandere is that you will kill everybody in the pursuit of your love.
Yeah. So she's the yandere. Fine. So she's so obsessed with Deku that she literally kills people for him and like cuts herself at night thinking about him. When she meets, Araka, the main love interest is like dying, and she, there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens before. Don't worry about it. We're getting to the final scenes, and she's like, "Hey, you're dying. You're not going to make it to the ambulance. My superpower is I can control blood. We have the same blood type. I can give you my blood so you can live, or I can take your blood." And she's like, "You know what?" The Toga chick's like, "I'm going to do the right thing. You were always meant to be with Deku. I'm going to give you my blood. That way, you get to go be with him for both of us." And remember how I told you Araka's sad and she's crying on the mountaintop and all of her friends show up in chapter 429? She's crying up there because she feels like she's failing Toga. The girl who killed herself so she can live? She's like, I don't think I can live without burden. The girl who's like, go be with Deku if I'm going to kill myself for you? And then she doesn't go with Deku for the next page?
Yeah, dog.
Oh, I hate it.
Also, Toga's stupidly popular. She got 3rd in the 2nd U.S. popularity poll.
Yep.
People are down bad for her.
Oh no, the crazy chick is popular. I'm so shocked.
I'm shocked. Well, not that shocked.
So shocked. This has never happened before. There's never been crazy chicks who are popular.
All right, chat.
Ever.
Well, that's my hero. Started with a bang, ended with a wet fart.
Do you want to go out drinking to end your sorrows?
I
or do you have
can't.
other
I gotta
plans?
play Baldur's Gate now with Nebula.
Would you say that the real My Hero was the friends we made along the way?
Yes!
Same with the
Also,
One
kid,
Piece.
where can I watch the stream of Nebula with yours? So that way I can watch something as I'm out drinking by myself. Unless you guys want to come with me.
So I do want to come with, but we are going to be on Nebula's Twitch in about 2-3 minutes. I assume he's getting his thing set up. He probably isn't. He's probably sitting there just patiently waiting because he's a good little boy. So come over to his Twitch. Yep, it is going to be...
What's his Twitch link? What's the Twitch link?
It's going to be in my Discord. Oh, no. Sug sent some more fan art. Okay, hang on.
What do you mean?
Before we go, I'm going to show...
no.
Hey, I gotta make sure... Oh, my
Did he send it directly?
Yeah, he said...
Because the last one...
How bad is it?
Oh
no.
Oh no.
Also, don't forget to buy my book.
Yeah,
It's in the thing. Go get it.
Yeah,
Watch
I
out.
bought
You
it.
have it ready by the time I finish saying that.
All right, chat.
Watch out for me and Kid's new channel. It's going to be a pretty funny time, hopefully.
Yeah.
A solid ha out of ha, even.
A what?
Yep.
A
It's gonna
ha
be
out of ha.
All right, so it's gonna have to cover up some of our people. There you go, chat. Here are the memes that I was emergency sent by our friend Zug. He insisted that you all get to
What do
see
you
these
mean?
before we leave.
That's my boy.
It's all safe for work. They're all great. If you want to see more things like this, come join the Discord. Also, canonically, All Might, once again, banging Deku's mom. Go for it, All Might, you dog, you.
Oh, man.
All right. So, Nebula's
It's
stream...
such a good redraw, too. God damn.
Isn't it? So, Nebula's stream will be
It
linked in my Discord.
is.
I will... I will also grab a link right here to post. He's not live yet.
Look
But
at
I'm
her
gonna-
face.
I just saw,
Look at her
I just
face
saw
in the
Chucky's
corner.
face, and she's like,
Face.
All right, chat, here you go.
She's like-
Nebula's link is in the live stream. Come annoy him, and you'll be able to see me in a few minutes. And with that,
come
I'll
on
let-
down to
Hey.
twitch.tv/Nebula the Wanderer, and don't put in any spaces, or you're gonna go to space.
Exactly.
Oh.
All right, go buy Pag's book,
Wanderer, we are-
and you all
Yeah,
have
do
an
that.
excellent day.
You
Thank you
can't
all.
tell me what to do.
We'll be back to bullying Godzilla YouTubers next week. Goodbye, everybody.
Have a good one.